Here are 6 tips to handling disruptions in your business. And my name is Jacob Curtis. I am the founder of Curtis Accounting Solutions and the co-owner of Utah Valley Quilting. And we're going to give you these 6 tips to handle disruptions in the supply chain specifically. So the first one is establish a centralized management center. Now, for a lot of shops, this is pretty straightforward and obvious, right? Especially if you only have one store, one location. Now, those that have multiple, you want to make sure that you have the main store. Where's your headquarters at? Where do you make those? Where do you gather all the information, and so you can make decisions, right? You want to centralize all the information in the decision-making functions during a time of crisis, and really, generally, in general, you want to be able to do this. All that information should come together to help you understand what it is so that you can communicate and act and make decisions, having as much information as you possibly can. This is going to really help your vendors, your customers, your employees all know kind of what's going on, which leads us into the second tip. And by the way, if you have any questions or comments, leave them below. And the second tip is really speaking with one voice. Each morning you want to meet with your leadership group for about 5 to 10 minutes and share that information and prioritize jobs and enable the leadership team to make decisions based on their stores, their locations, things like that. If you're just in there, if you only have one store, this is I would recommend doing this anyway, even if you only have the one store. The reason is because as the business owner, you need to make sure you have a pulse on the business. Now, if you're really, really small, you probably are doing in the day-to-day and talking with customers and vendors all the time. Right? If you've got a team of employees and you kind of sit in the background and make the decisions, again, this is the same kind of thing. You still want to meet with everybody and share that information. Doing this will actually help create a single message that employees can tell customers, you can tell vendors, things like that, and make sure that it makes sense. Don't try to spin or put blame on anybody for any kind of fault or anything like that. That's not what this is about. What this is really about is just being over communicating and making sure everybody's aware and on the same page of what's going on. Which leads us into the third point, which is swim in your lane. If you don't have all the information, you probably can't make a very good decision. But the opposite is true of that too. If you try and get all the pieces of information, you're not going to make the decision in time. And so it's kind of like we used to do these challenges where we would run around and get clues and try and figure out where things are. And one of those challenges we had was actually a puzzle, but we didn't have the big poster or tell us exactly what it was. We just had to put together enough of the puzzle to figure out what the message was. And so that's kind of what it is like as a business leader, as a business owner, is you don't have all of the pieces of information. You may have a lot of them, but you may not always have all of them. And so we want to make sure that when you're swimming in your lane, that you don't get stuck in analysis paralysis, right? That you don't get stuck trying to get every single piece of information and get more and more and more and not make a decision, because not making a decision is also making a decision. And so we want to make sure that you have enough information to make a good, smart, wise decision, but not wait too long for that decision to become obsolete or no longer required because your employers or not your employees, but your competitors or something have already jumped on that, and now you got to make a different decision. So we want to make sure that you have all the information you need to make a decision, but not so much that you're not making decisions. And don't wait for it either. That's what's really critical, is when we don't want to wait too long, but we also want to make that decision with enough information. So kind of swim in your lane, make sure that you have enough information, you can see the picture that is forming, and then you can make your decision and move forward. Part of that information you're going to need is actually tip number 4, which is map out your supply chain. This is an essential element to handling the supply chain disruptions and finding out how vendors operate. And this really includes going and knowing where their headquarters are located versus where their factories are located, and understanding what their raw materials are to make the fabrics and the notions and everything else, where they're getting them from, where they're being made, their shipping methods, things like that, right? As you understand how they work, it'll help you understand and provide more information to customers, giving you a bigger, fuller picture so that they understand where it's at. Because that's what's really needed. And sometimes it's even needed to diversify our vendors, our suppliers, to help reduce those inventory shortages, right? If we have one vendor and most of their business is in one part of the world, and they're having a large, massive storm, or there's been some kind of natural disaster there, they're going to have some issues, which are then going to be passed on to you. And so we want having a diversifying portfolio of vendors will allow you to get sources and things from other parts of the country or world that may not be having those same issues. So that having this understanding is going to be really good and make a huge difference for the business. You'll be able to plan better and understand what's coming or what's not coming and things like that. The fifth point is to prepare to manage your customer demand, right? You need to know how to handle customer demand during supply chain disruptions. And a couple of suggestions are you can just do an allocation, meaning you knowing what you sell and things like that is key to understanding what it is that you're needing. If you know exactly what things are selling, maybe you have jelly rolls are just really hot or something, and you either custom make them or you get them from a vendor or something. Understand what people want so that you can provide that to them. You can focus your limited resources on the thing that people actually are wanting or doing. This is going to be really good if you've actually narrowed down your customer base and you understand exactly who your niche is, who your customer avatar is, and understanding what they want and things like that. This will help you to focus in on the most important inventory items, and so that you don't buy things that people don't need or want. You can do auction. Often I've seen this happen in retail. Well, they'll actually turn their store basically into an auction house because they know that they have the goods, but they don't have a lot of them. And so when there's a low to supply and a high demand, this may be something you want to do. Sometimes this may be seen as profiteering and drive customers away, and so this may or may not work for you. And that third point is to do substitution. If you can't get the thing that your customers really want, maybe do something that's similar enough that provide the same solution or a similar solution to help get those people to buy them. The other thing you can do is potentially raise your prices on the products that are really hot. People really want those, and the reason to do that is to shift them towards buying the substitute product. Basically, it's kind of like name brand cereal versus store brand cereal, right? The name brand is usually priced higher than the store brand. Similar kind of a concept with that, with things that are really important to your customers. We want to be able to change and shift that. The sixth point here is you need to set up a plan for that recovery, right? Sometimes we often get stuck just putting out short-term fires, but we've got to remember the long-term, the long haul, what there is, what can we do? One of those is any disruption to a business can be an opportunity, and tough decisions are like a long desired reorganization. Tough decisions like these things, like a reorganization or letting go of somebody, is actually a really good opportunity to take that. We want to make sure that we are structured for the long term and also the short term. Now, short term fires allow us and give us a great opportunity to set up for the long term, which is great. And then finally, a bonus, Profit First is one of those things that really helps with your cash management during a time of crisis. Again, you set up those accounts, your income, profit, owner's comp, tax, operating expenses. If you have inventory, I would set up an inventory account, because this really does help you understand the flow of your business. And the best part about using Profit First is that you can actually adjust it to fit your needs. Every business has the same kind of basic foundations that they need, but then every business is unique as well. And so I would encourage you to use Profit First in your business. In fact, I'll be talking more about Profit First on August 25th. So I would encourage you to register for that. The link is and everything is in the descriptions and comments below. So please click on that, get registered. We'll be talking about Profit First. We'll be talking about the secrets, the profitability secrets of the successful and what they do and how they became so successful, all geared right around product analysis, Profit First, and understanding who your customer is. So if you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear them. Again, you can find me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube as well, and my website at curtiscalingsolutions.com. You can email me at jacob@curtiscalingsolutions.com, and I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Bye.